Welcome. Happy Friday. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I am joined today by Eric July, Blaze TV contributor, and of course, founder of Ripaverse Comics. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
You were the smart one who wore a jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Can you please tell the audience that I'm not making up how freaking cold it is?
And I'm usually like the one that's like burning up even when it is cold. It's legit chilly in here.
It is so cold in here. So if anyone is looking at that go back to that camera angle, Steven. If anyone is looking at that and going like, why is Sara so pissed off? I'm really not. I'm just, this is for warmth. Okay. So Eric, have you seen the last few weeks? They've had these drones that are hovering over. There have been reports of California, New Jersey. There have been some spotted in Austin. It's just like all of these random drones all over the country in the night. Citizens have been taking all of these videos of these drones, and nobody's really sure what they are, or at least willing to give that information. And I want to show some of these, some of what they're seeing and reporting. Watch.
I just found 3 mystery drones in the air. This is wild. That was really quick. What in the world is happening?
Look at this Look at him spraying.
That one is spraying something, it looks like, which is...
Look at that. Look at that.
Really unsettling.
He is spraying the sky again. Bro, this is crazy, man. Look at this guy.
That is so weird. So, and that looks like it's firing something. Seems like something we should probably know what it is, why it's in the airspace, what is it doing, what was that? It looked like spray to me. Did it look like spray? It's spraying something.
Yeah, look like
maybe I don't know. Was it water? Was it? I don't know. We should be getting some answers on that. And so I wanna talk to you about this, Eric. But I want to play first. Let's play New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew on what the hell these drones are doing and where they're potentially they could have come from. Watch.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
I'm sorry, Eric. I really want to hear your thoughts because I don't believe for a second that he's like, well, it's not our own government because then we'd know.
You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't. How many times has the Biden regime gone rogue on so many different things?
You would have no idea.
Absolutely none.
For sure.
Oh, you think they're not going to keep that from you?
No.
Like they've kept all of the other things that we could go on and cite. And so I'm kind of like, I just don't buy that to begin with. But then it's like, well, who hates us more, our own regime that's in charge right now or Iran or China? I'm not sure. It's probably pretty close.
Good point.
So I don't know.
And I think I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think when things like this happen, a lot of people's minds just go in the complete opposite direction, where they assume that it could be, let's say, some foreign country or something of that nature. I think it's very dangerous, especially when you start looking at these government officials who go out on a limb and like, oh, I think it was that person or that group of people as far as another country is concerned. And is it Iran or is it China? Which one isn't? They may be working together, but those are two completely different countries. And yeah, we've seen war started for less,
Right.
for sure, off an idea that they may have potentially possibly done something, right? So you got to be very, very careful when you go out on a limb and you're going to be accusing people of doing things. Look, I do believe that drones kind of are going to be like this reality that we're going to face going into the future, where we're going to just see random things that are kind of in the air. There's going to be, I think, parcel companies are going to be using them. They already are in some cases. So that in itself doesn't bother me. But yeah, when you like just are completely like, I don't know what that is. And to be fair to him, now I don't know how true that is, when he's like, this is technology that the common man can't really get, or some hobbyist can't get. I've seen some of these drones, especially with some of the video footage that we've shot. They're advancing quick, man. Yeah. These things are able to do some really, really, I'd argue, cool things. Yeah. But yeah, when I see something just in the air floating and it's spraying something, I'm gonna be like, is it mosquitoes or are you doing something else weird? And I think any person that's gonna see something floating in the air is gonna be kind of turned off by that. I don't know what that is. I'm looking at that for sure. I have no idea.
Even if they are spraying for mosquitoes, that is also a problem.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out. Yeah. I don't trust any of that shit that they're going to spray.
No, that's a good point.
And the idea that they could be, this is so freaky. The idea that they could be spraying some sort of a chemical, regardless of if it's for good intentions. There's that one spraying. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't be informing the public of what they're doing. That's important. Is a big freaking deal. Yeah, that's important. Even if, because I've read too, I think in Dallas, whenever it's summer and they've got, what West Nile virus?
Yeah, they do that. Like, that's why I brought them mosquitoes, because they do that in Frisco.
I hate that they do that. Yeah. I'm like, I want.
They'll let you know though. They will let you know. You get a little email that will say, "Hey, West Nile, blah blah blah. We're gonna be spraying,"
and I'm like, I am not going outside for shit that day. I already don't like that. I can't just tell you don't come in this proximity of my house, because I don't trust any of the shit that you spray.
There you go.
But to your point, they're not sharing the information, and they don't seem to know anything. So we have the Pentagon that had to come out, try to get ahead of it as much as, the DEI-ridden Pentagon would be. And they're like, well, local law enforcement is investigating, which is not what you want to hear, because I'm like, no, I mean, if we have drones that, I know whenever I shot the documentary that I did with Blaze, and the great team that we had there that did it, he had a drone. Some of our aerial footage was from his drone, and you have to clear it with the FAA.
License,
you have to have a license. You have to make sure the airspace is clear before you drive it up. And that was not even that high, right? You're not even talking about that high. And he still had to clear it with the FAA and make sure that the airspace was clear. So I'm like, the fact that local law enforcement, the Pentagon, you guys still just seemingly have no answers is even worse, because you're either A, just hell-bent on hiding it from us, or B, so incompetent that you just have no idea what's going on. And neither of those things are very settling for me. Let's listen to Deputy Defense Press Secretary Sabrina Singh.
Can you tell me what the Pentagon is doing to address this issue of drone sightings over New Jersey? It's near sensitive installations. The FBI is involved. What is the Pentagon doing?
Sure. So at this time, aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time, we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, but, at no point were our installations threatened when this activity was occurring.
Can you rule out that these are American drones or U.S. military drones?
These are not U.S. military drones. Again, this is being investigated by local law enforcement. What our initial assessment here is that these are not drones or activities coming from a foreign entity or adversary.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched
she totally
a mothership
believable, Eric?
probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
What do you have to say for yourself, Sabrina?
There is not any truth to that.
Okay.
There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
So let me just add in these little tidbits for you, Eric. Drone sightings reported over U.S. military bases in the United Kingdom last month. Okay. Also, just now, U.S. base targeted by flying drones over Germany as Pentagon under fire for spiraling crisis. So now the ones in New Jersey, the ones in California, the ones here in Texas have now spread to multiple foreign countries over our bases. I feel like maybe there's something going on.
Yeah, and you never know. It's not like they would tell us. So I always
Car-sized drones, by the way.
That's like a
Numerous car-sized drones.
yeah. That's more than a drone. That's like a ship. You know what I mean? Like an airbase.
That's what I'm saying.
Almost like what are we talking
Like
about?
the FAA should probably know who's flying
They
something
do know.
like that.
And
Right.
that's the argument that I would make
Right.
is I don't for once think that they're completely oblivious. I think there's just a set of information that they're willing to give us versus what they're not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because you just think about it. Let's say if it was a foreign entity, that would send people into absolute panic if they knew that their government is either too incompetent to like, I don't know, feign it off. Or they just like, they got to the information late. They would tell you. They wouldn't say, hey guys, yeah, if you're in these major cities, there's this big drone from a foreign entity. I don't know what, we don't know what's it. They'd never, ever admit to it. And especially when you're talking about the federal government versus the local or state governments and its officials, they're always like, not in the know of what the other is doing, right? Now, actually, I'd argue I kind of prefer it that way, for sure. But to act like, well, they would tell us, like the what was it, senator or whoever that was that we were talking about out there in New Jersey, is explicitly stating that there's no possible way. We know that this isn't from the U.S. Military. Like even within the actual military, you guys are not always on the same page.
Right.
There's certain amounts of clearance that you have to get to be in the know of X, Y, and Z. So no, you can't just definitively say, even if they told you, well, no, all is good. You can't definitively say that that's the truth.
Right. And by the way, this year the defense budget is $824 billion. So you would hope, I mean, even with the Chinese spy balloon, right? We're spending all of this money on, I would say, one of the very few things that the federal government is supposed to do, which is protect us from enemies, both foreign and domestic. So like, it's like you had one job and we gave you $824 billion to do it. And now when there's Chinese spy balloons in the skies for a very long amount of time, when there's drones hovering all over multiple United States cities, and then now U.S. bases, they're flying over really like sensitive sites, stuff like that. $825 billion, no answers. I don't buy that.
Well, no,
I don't buy that.
No, I don't either. I mean, they know, and again, either they're too stupid or too incompetent to actually do something about it, or I don't want to give them enough credit to be like, oh, they got it all under control. I can't say that.
No, but it's like, but that's the problem with this administration is that you actually don't, like, I don't know if it's incompetency or if it is just
that can
evil.
be a little scary, huh?
Right. You don't know with this administration.
It could go either way.
Either way.
Are they being like kind of insidious?
Right.
Or are they just stupid? That's dangerous.
Or both.
Both. That's even more dangerous when you're both stupid and you got bad intentions, man. Those are dangerous people. Very
Where we're at.
dangerous people.
January 20th cannot come here soon enough. Okay, before we go, I do want to ask you this because this is, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on the topic of drones. I am actually very uncomfortable with the idea of this new world where you've got drones that could be flying over your homes. I mean, you mentioned parcel drones that they're doing now. The invasion of privacy issue. I read that there was a man who, I forget what state it was, but he actually got arrested because he shot a drone in the sky that was over his house. And I was like, I kind of don't blame the guy, especially with stuff like this happening. If I
should
see
be
a
able to do
drone
that.
that's hovering over my
You should be able
house,
to do that. That's your property. You should be able to do that. Absolutely.
and I think so too. But so then it becomes, do we need a new set of laws for like restrictions on drones? Because I don't want a drone coming up and seeing my kids playing in my backyard or something.
I don't think that it necessarily needs a new set of laws, but I do think there needs to be kind of a new understanding, right?
Yeah.
Like, because again, like when you're crafting, these guys were crafting these documents or what have you, these laws. I don't think anybody's really considering way back in the gap that we would have these sort of flying
course
objects
not.
that people were going to be
Yeah,
able to
of course
fly
not.
over your house. It's very
Right.
much invasive and very much a part of your property, especially when you look at the surveillance aspect of it, in which that could see into it, and that's going to be an absolute invasion of your property. I just think that this is more or less a new reality, and I think this is going to really, and it should at least, giving people some billion-dollar ideas out there, that this, I think, is going to kind of definitely from the, again, surveillance and security aspect, going to kind of morph into this new industry, right? Because I can certainly see people wanting to spend money like, hey, I'm going to pay you. I don't know if it's going to be part of the insurance or whatever, to make sure ain't none of funky stuff going on around my area, or what have you, or make sure I'm at least in the know on what's going on. So what that looks like, I can't even personally envision, but I think that's just how markets tend to work. Some new tech gets implemented or gets introduced in the marketplace. We're all like, what the hell is going on? This kind of upends everything as we know it. But then the market kind of finds itself adjusting. And I think those questions that you have and I have are going to need to get addressed for people to feel more comfortable. But I do think that this is going to be part of some like reality that we're just going to deal with, because it's really already here and already getting implemented.
And we're navigating it in real time, trying to figure out what to do next.
What do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. And then I want to talk to you about some more stuff here. Namely, let's get into the CNN reporter who, I don't know if you saw this, Eric, very heroic action freeing the prisoner in Syria on television. Everything just ended up lining up so perfectly. I can't wait to get into that. First, we want to thank our sponsor here. This is Angel Studios Homestead. They've got a new movie coming out. It's December 20th. Is when it comes to theaters. So put it in your Christmas plans to go see it with your family. Remember, Angel Studios is the one that they are doing these like woke-free movies, family-friendly movies. They truly are trying to create something that you can feel proud to go see, that you're not going to go, like the Marvel movies. I'm getting off track here, but I've got Eric here, so I would be remiss if I didn't mention, like, you go and you're like, oh, cool. They have a gay character who are non-binary, and like I didn't care. I didn't want that. Oh, great. It's all about women, and the women are rising up to fight. I didn't want to see that. So you're not going to get that with any of these Angel Studios movies that they're putting out. This one is about a nuclear blast devastating Los Angeles and an ex-Green Beret who joins a prepper compound. So make sure that you go check it out. By the way, when you pre-order your tickets, you can enter to win a $300,000 giveaway. It has 1 Bitcoin, a fully furnished tiny home from Box House, a custom Polaris OHV by Sparks Motors, basically everything you would need to start your own homestead yourself. So you can pre-order tickets for your chance to win over at angel.com/Sarah. That is angel.com/Sarah. So there's a lot going on in Syria right now, and CNN had their international reporter, Clarissa Ward, who was there on the ground and kind of covering, the civilians over there that were hurt by war in the hospital. And so yesterday they had the segment where she was kind of going around the Syrian Air Force Intelligence Headquarters prison that had been liberated 5 days earlier. And she's like, oh, I'm looking for this American journalist who was kidnapped in Syria in 2012, which seems a little strange that you'd be like, I'm looking for this journalist from 2012 and just like going, looking under, is he here? No, but that's what she said that she was doing. And this is the segment that ended up running. And I want you to watch this. And then I want to know from you if, was this legit or was this set up? Was this all faked? I have some questions anyway. Watch.
We don't find any hints of Tice, but come across something extraordinary.
I can't tell though, it might just be a blanket, but it's the only cell that's locked. Is he gonna shoot it?
The guard makes us turn the camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket.
Oh, it moved. Is there someone there? I thought I saw it move. Is someone there? Or is it just a blanket? I don't know.
Hello?
Okay, it's just moving.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian.
It's okay. It's okay.
He tells the fighter he's from the city of Homs and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
He's been there for that many days. He had a nice coat on. He seemed relatively clean. I mean, I don't know if he smelled, but like, was that real?
It's hard to say, especially with CNN. They've pretended to be in war zones that they were never in. But for optics purposes, they've done stuff like this.
Right.
That whole setup just seemed a little bizarre. The fact that, okay, hey, guard shoots things off, but they see this.
And why do they have to turn off the camera for him to shoot the lock?
But not to go actually in there to
Right.
like, guys, I'm not stupid. That was a load of baloney. And look, I don't know under what circumstances are they talking about this 3 months. Like, obviously him being there 3 months. Was he a prisoner being fed there 3 months? I don't know, but it just stinks.
It just seemed a little bit too convenient, right, for it to be real. And knowing what we know about CNN, there's just a certain level of distrust that you should have just already baked into anything that you see on CNN. I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it at all. So let's take it a step further. Okay. I want to play this guy, looking at the sky, I guess, after, remember, he said he's been in there for 3 months. There were no windows. I didn't see any windows. And he had not eaten, I guess it had been freed for 5 days. So he had been there for 5 days, no water, no food. You saw him guzzle. And like, I don't know why you would just go to some random woman and grab her arm. That seems also a little bit strange, right? But let's watch him looking at the sky as they walk out. Watch.
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
And he looks right up! Wide eyes.
My God, the light, he says. Oh God, there is light. My God, there is light.
Okay.
The fighter hands him something to eat. He
So-
can barely lift it to his mouth.
That's enough. So when you're in a very, very dark room for an extended amount of time, is there anything that happens when you go and it's just like the super bright sun?
Yeah, you look directly at it. Yeah, that's what you do. You look directly
Right, with your
at it.
eyes wide open.
Eyes wide open after you've been in the dark. That will not damage your eyes or anything. And it's just what people do. You know, that's one of the first things that I do. You know, I like to sleep in the dark. And to really get these senses flowing, I like to walk outside, look directly into the sun. And it just always wakes me up. I get amped up, and I'm ready.
You don't even
to
need
start the
coffee.
day. No, that's how I start the day.
It's just the sun.
Sun gazing, looking right at the sun, and I praise the Lord, and I get my day going. Look, it looks great. It's almost something out of a documentary. Looks great. That you just happened to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The cameras were rolling. And it just out of sheer convenience, this person that was in this cell for at least 5 days, but 3 months as far as being locked up as a prisoner, So appreciative of you freeing them. And I can imagine, like, yeah, if you've been locked up for a while, I have some empathy or sympathy if that is legit and if it was true, that you're going to come out with like some sort of greater appreciation. I just don't believe that all of that went down the way that it went down and it was all caught on camera.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is all too convenient.
CNN.
Yeah, just all too convenient. And it just happened to be Clarissa Ward herself, who I want to play just as a little reminder of the type of content that she tries to put out there. Here is a recent report of hers from Gaza.
Gaza is in that direction. We can hear now a lot of jets in the sky. We could also hear the Iron Dome intercepting a number of those rockets as they were whizzing overhead and making impact in that direction. We can get up now.
Oh, good. All clear?
Where are we moving to? Sorry, just 1 second, guys. Okay.
Let's come up and go this way and then...
All right, so now I can show you the scene here. This is where those militants first came, opening up fire on all these vehicles. There's a baby carriage down there, turned over on its side.
I mean, I don't know. It all looks pretty clear to me. And of course, on top of, it's not just her, right? I want to, let's play, this is an oldie but a goodie, Anderson Cooper. Oh, let's look at Anderson Cooper reporting on Hurricane Florence in 2018. It's all just set up.
Yeah, it's all optics. It looks great.
Yeah, it's all just
great for TV.
It's all just a setup. And it does look great for TV, Eric. It does.
It looks fantastic. I mean, it's BS, but it looks great for TV.
Yeah, it's just that it's all fake and gay, especially with Anderson Cooper.
Oh, well, he's literally faking it. So that we're not. There's no slander or anything involved in that. That's what he is. I mean, so let's just call it what it is. But no, seriously, like that was what I was referring to. Obviously, the whole faking, sort of be it in a war zone, just kind of laying out there in the open, but you face the camera kind of in this way that makes it seem like you guys are taking cover. But once you do see the camera actually straighten out and they zoom out, and you find they're just laying out in the open on the ground. It looks dumb as shit. Excuse my language. So even if you were kind of in this war zone, there's no cover. You're just sitting, laying on the ground. What you're trying to accomplish there, I have no idea what that protocol is. I'm just saying, looking at what was all there, you would at least, to me, run behind some cover or something. I don't know.
There were cars right there.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't do that. They're just literally laying in the dirt, and the camera's facing a certain way, so it looks like they're like. But when you really zoom out, you see this heifer was just laying on the ground. And none of that makes sense. It was stupid. It is literally fake and gay, the whole ordeal. But it looks great for TV. You know, that was a great moment. Oh wow, there's bold and brave. They're sitting out there in that war zone that they just so happened to get up, and the coast was long clear.
She quickened her breath. You heard that?
Yeah, quickened it because it's tiring to actually be on the ground. Laying there. Like that. That really gets the juices flowing. Heart rate goes up. Generally, what I like to do for exercise there, just lay there.
Yeah.
Just lay there. Really gets everything going. I get to start to break it a sweat and everything.
Is that after
cardio.
your morning sun gazing?
Oh yeah, after I sun gaze. By the way, I go back into the bed oftentimes just to get the heart rate up and get the juices really flowing and that heart rate pumping. It's just fantastic cardio. Great way to stay in shape.
I can tell that's why you're so slim and trim.
Exactly. I'm telling you guys, that's a secret. Sun gazing, laying in the dirt.
Oh my gosh. And this is, of course, the reality of the mainstream media in 2024. I think listen, we already read from CNN, Chris Wallace is out. They're planning on making a lot of layoffs. I really think with Donald Trump coming in and with Elon Musk having X and just the amount of traction that all of these alternative media sources are getting, yes. I don't think they're going to be around for much longer.
I believe it's Warner that owns CNN, and they're just as a company just in debt anyway as a corporate entity, and they're slimming everywhere else. What makes you think CNN isn't going to be one of those? I mean, they're spending a lot of money. I know we covered it a few weeks ago when we were looking at some of just the amount of money that some of their top dogs are making, and they're not getting that return. There's no way.
I know.
So some of these guys got to go for
know.
sure. And I wouldn't be surprised they move, I don't know, to maybe an all digital sort of platform.
Remember they tried CNN Plus?
Yeah, and it didn't work.
A
So again, going to all digital is not, that's not to say that it works.
Yeah,
It's just that
yeah.
what they're doing right now isn't working at all.
And they probably will try to do something like that.
I think they'll go. I think they'll go.
Try to move to a digital landscape.
Yeah.
The problem, of course, is that it doesn't matter if you are putting forth Rachel Maddow content from MSNBC or whoever the hell, Clarissa Ward, Anderson Cooper, whoever it is. If it's still the same content and it's just lies and it's just pushing an agenda and it's, some dude standing in the water talking about how terrible and then he just walks up the hill and he's fine. It's just like, if it's still that content, which it will be, because they can't help themselves, you're just stretching out the failure.
Yeah.
And, I just got to say, it can't happen to a more deserving group of people.
Yeah, most definitely. The guys that pretended to be objective all those years when they were just leftists.
Yeah, right. Exactly. What was the CNN? It was like, an apple isn't an orange.
Yeah.
An apple is just an apple here at CNN. Okay. You tell us that while you're laying on the ground. Just for no reason. Go ahead. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick break and then we'll be back. But I do want to remind you guys, we've got Christmas sweaters over at Blaze Media Shop. We've also got these awesome MAGA Moms Club cups, hats, T-shirts. We've got a couple different types of hats, by the way, but the red, white, and blue trucker is my absolute favorite. Go check them out. You can go to saramerch.com. And I believe there's a Christmas code, Christmas 25. If not, use Sarah 10. But make sure, maybe you can get like expedited shipping or something and get it in time for Christmas. But go ahead and go visit saramerch.com. We'll be right back. So I think as we move into Joe Biden leaving the White House, Donald Trump coming in, Joe Biden is doing his best to make sure that he goes down in the history books as the worst president in United States history. Like it's almost impressive the types of moves that he's making to just ruin everything before he leaves, knowing that like we have elected someone. There has been a mandate. We have elected someone to take things in a completely different direction. And so we've talked about how he's been the CBP One app. You could set an appointment on the app, but then you would still have to come in for a face-to-face visit before they processed you and allowed you into the interior of the country. He changed it so that you can just check in online. So you don't even have to visit anyone face to face. Make sure that you are who you say you are. You just hit a button, you tap the button, and you're here. So just a lot of different things that he has been doing. Sending money to Ukraine, trying to forgive Ukraine's loan. There's a lot that he's been doing. One of them in regards to the border is that they're starting to haul away a bunch of border wall materials from the southern border. So you guys who are listening, these are, they're like trucks with just a massive amount of materials that are being taken to a government auction site where bidding for an entire segment of wall starts at just $5. You too can have border wall materials if you're willing to pay $5. And so that's your money, by the way. I just want to make sure you guys know that. Your money was used to fund all of those materials to, of course, try to protect our border. And now they are selling it. So I do want to play, because I want to give credit where credit is due here. I want to play Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who made a little bit of a suggestion here with all of these. Watch.
We've been trying to buy this wall from them for 4 years, and they wouldn't sell it to us. And you know what? I'm going to check in with our Department of Public Safety. Maybe we need to start pulling over these trucks to be sure they don't have too much weight on those trucks. Maybe these trucks need to be slowed down. We need to do everything we can in Texas to stop them. The taxpayers paid for this, and they want to stop President Trump in 38 or 39 days from rebuilding the wall.
He also went on to say that he's like, I'm going to buy them. I'm going to buy them up. And then when Donald Trump gets in office, I'm just going to deliver them to him, which you shouldn't. I appreciate it, but it's like you shouldn't have to do it. By the way, if you want to go buy some, govplanet.com.
Okay. I got a new property. Use some fencing. Lots of acreage. $5 a pop?
That's what it says. It's starting at. So it's an auction. So I don't know how, it depends on who, who you're bidding.
So I might get out.
Who you're bidding against. Yeah, it's like eBay for the government. It's eBay with your tax dollars, Eric.
That's impressive.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, man. But yeah, it's it speaks to a larger issue, right? When you hear someone like, I'm trying to buy like either be it land or whatever from the federal government. Bro, whose state is this? I don't need to buy nothing off of you. How about this? Get out. We'll take it from here.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, we got to wait for Trump. Why? It has always been my question. I get it. There's all this legal bull crap, but we want to get to the heart of the issue. I think that's that, right? Because are you really solving anything when you have to be dependent upon to try to deal with your affairs, things that impact the people of, let's say, Texas? You have to wait for a federal official to give you a green light to do something that exists within the territory that you're supposedly over. Another entity quite several miles away, let's say based out of D.C., are the ones that dictate what the hell Texas must do. Am I the only one that has a problem with that? Right? Because I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it was that cackling chick and Kamala who would end up being president. I don't care who it is. Why do they, let's say, supersede over everything that you got going here? Right? And that is the root of the problem. It doesn't matter if it's immigration. Doesn't matter if we're talking about taxes, sort of federal regulations that, of course, are, again, you're ruling over the people that are in this geographical area. Why is it that we have to wait on the federal government? Why? And the answer is all my Constitution and all that. And maybe those guys have a misunderstanding of it or a different understanding of it than what I do. I'm all about decentralization, and I'm maybe kind of, look, I'm a libertarian. I get it, right? Just crazy, wacky libertarian, one libertarian things. But I think
it's not wacky.
Yeah, I would think so.
Especially in this regard, it's not wacky to say if the federal government is abdicating its responsibility in protecting our border, surely the border state has the right to take over. That's not wacky. That's just
obvious
common
to
sense.
me. It seems obvious to me. I figure that is just not simply a libertarian position that anybody should be able or would be able to get on board with that. But I do fear that, and this is what I think, and it's kind of segueing into a separate conversation, but very similar in that we got to start preparing ourselves for because he only got 4 years, right? Mm-hmm. For a post-Trump world, whatever that looks like. And I think this whole, hey, we're going to wait on him. We're going to do this. I get all that, but he's not going to be there forever.
Right.
So we also need to be future proofing ourselves and handling some of these problems and being able to deal with some of these problems with or without them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm here. I mean, hey, you're preaching to the choir here. It's not wacky, for the record. All right. Before we go, I do want to play Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who, in the midst of all of these plans of mass deportations and trying to take America back in so many different ways, he's like, I'm reaffirming my commitment to keep Chicago a sanctuary city, despite, I will say, some irate citizens of Chicago who they're showing up at city council meetings. They're like, you guys have to stop this shit. Our kids can't go to school because the school's taken up as a housing shelter for illegals. We are taxpayers. We are citizens. You guys need to cut it out. And Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is like, no, we're not gonna. Watch.
It's not just a threat to Chicago, but a threat to what is sensible about this country. And as mayor of the city of Chicago, we're not going to bend or break or cower to someone's threat. We're going to stand up and unite around our shared values, and they have my assurance that I'm going to protect the families of this city.
Meaning the illegal ones, not the legal ones who may get killed or harmed or injured from one of these illegals. He is, of course, talking about the illegal immigrants over in the city. And I want to play Tom Homan, of course, the incoming border czar, who responded to Brandon Johnson. Watch.
Because your mayor sucks and your governor sucks. And we're going to start right here in Chicago, Illinois. Now, if your Chicago mayor doesn't want to help, he can step aside. But if he impedes us, if he knowingly harbors and conceals an illegal alien, I will prosecute him.
We love to see it, Tom. Eric, I have a Tom Homan ornament right there.
Word.
One of our fans sent it, and it says, it's a picture of Tom Homan, and it says, "You'll be home for Christmas." Isn't that great?
But like this issue really, I believe, radicalized, for lack of better terms, a lot of people that would traditionally vote left and have maybe even voted for the mayor there, because they started to see how it impacted them. And this is something that I've been screaming forever. It's a difference when you're in like those cities, especially whether it be Upper East Coast or even Midwest, where you're in like a Chicago, and you don't live in an area that is like directly, let's say, impacted by it. Yeah, it's easy for you to have this position, you know. So when I come from, I lived in South Texas for several years. I've obviously lived in Texas for the better part of my life anyway, and so I've seen it from a completely different lens than what maybe those people have. Well, with this new effort where you have all the busing and these people kind of the sanctuary cities sort of being claimed. And now it's starting to impact areas that traditionally were not impacted by this. This is a problem that, again, we've been dealing with forever out here in Texas, but now it's really getting close to home out there in the New York cities, in the Chicagos. And that's why you have these people going to be these council meetings or whatever that are really speaking up, that traditionally vote left. And they're like, okay, this needs to be addressed. This is impacting me. This is impacting my family, especially with regards to like resources and things of that nature. They see firsthand now how it's impacting them. And I think especially in this last election, that was the issue that did it for a lot of people, where they were like, I'm not, maybe they're not a big fan of Trump. Maybe they have been a different or seen it differently in years past, but not anymore because it's hitting close to home now.
Right. Exactly right. And I will say, before we go to break, I was not a fan at the time of us shipping them further into the interior of the country. Now I'm like, damn.
Played the long game. I think
that's what it took. Yeah, that's what it took. So credit where credit is due there. All right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be right back. Well, the the hens over at The View are still very, very upset that Donald Trump is going to be the next president. They tried their hardest, and they are really, really beside themselves, coming up with fake reasons to be outraged and or very, very scared that their world is ending. And Whoopi Goldberg, just the other day, now she is very, very scared about RFK cracking down on the use of Ozempic. Of course, they say it's a weight loss drug. It's supposed to be for diabetes, but here's some of that.
There could be a White House drug war brewing over anti-obesity meds like Ozempic. Health Secretary nominee RFK Jr.
Is that funny?
Has
he looks a hell of a lot more healthy than you.
America's addicted to drugs and weight loss should come from diet and exercise.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
Elon
correct.
Musk, nominee for the just made up Department of Government Efficiency and the actual real VP, wants to expand. Yeah, you heard me. Wants to expand access, saying nothing would do more to improve the health, lifespan, and quality of life for Americans than making the drugs affordable for everyone. Now, most Americans
Who are you trusting on health?
agree with Elon Musk. But, the question is, who's the boss going to side with? But I just want to throw this out because the medical cost of adult obesity-related disease in the U.S. range from $147 billion to nearly $210 billion per year.
Yeah, that's enough. So, Whoopi, let me just lay this out for you. Number one, Ozempic was originally supposed to be used for people with type 2 diabetes. So using it for weight loss is off-label. Now, I'm not a fan of criticizing that because ivermectin was also used off-label for COVID, and people screamed about that like that was the worst thing in the world, and it never happens. It actually happens a lot. But to hear her try to say, oh, well, he just thinks that weight should just be controlled by diet and exercise. I mean, yeah. That's true. And I'm sure Elon Musk thinks that Ozempic is great. That's fine. He also wasn't the one that Donald Trump put in charge of
It's
HHS.
a completely different place that he's in. And that's what we had talked about before. Like, if these people are allowed to kind of do their jobs that's really narrow to what you brought them in for, that could be a great thing, because maybe they do fail in other areas, but they hit it really well on this one. So, look,
isn't it funny, too, that they think that RFK is going to come in and just ban everything? But he's going to ban vaccines. He's going to ban all these foods. He's going to ban Ozempic. He's not going to do that. But the point is, you are talking about a drug that they're using it off label, right? They're passing it out like candy. They're not telling people about the side effects. They're just finding out about some of the side effects in real time. Like, I'm reading articles about, like, Ozempic butt is now a thing, because I guess it eats away your muscle. And so people who are taking it get these flat butts. I mean, they're not talking about all of these other potential side effects that you could have. I think that's where RFK is going to go, of just informed consent, making sure that there were proper safety studies, making sure that if there are safety studies, there is either a major disclosure that what you're eating could cause cancer, or that they change their ingredients. But he's not going to start going to the shelves of the pharmacy like, you can't sell that, you can't sell that, you can't sell that. That's not happening. But oh, by the way, just do it the old-fashioned way. Diet and exercise, baby, worked for me. May I remind people that I used to be 100 pounds heavier. Took me 2 years, but I did it the right way and never gained it back, other than pregnancy weight and getting it back off. So I feel like I'm speaking from a position of authority here when I say you don't need it. And yes, it is diet and exercise. Perhaps we have such a fat country because everyone seems to be confused about how you actually lose weight.
Well, yeah, they go immediately to the drugs, which is what she was basically saying.
Right.
I mean, look how much we spend on fighting these obesity-based like sort of issues and illnesses. I'd argue COVID was one of those, right? Because we knew who it impacted, these people with these comorbidities, often being several pounds overweight. And yeah, that is something that needs to get absolutely addressed. But Whoopi there doesn't realize that she's making the case to me against anything regarding free healthcare. Look how much money we spend on this specific issue. And instead of diet and exercise, which you look like it's just this extremely like radical position, right? To, I don't know, diet and exercise properly so that you lose the weight. You'd rather get them peeled up. You'd rather them spend this money on the Ozempics and things of that nature to fight it, which is absolutely bonkers. Is what's got us in this problem sort of in the first place. And I'm glad you brought up the issue like there, which, look, I don't think a lot of people understand what they're consuming just in general, right? So the informed consent, I think, thing is very, very important, especially with regards to weight loss, because people are eating absolute filth. And in order to find a solution to it, they're popping pills, they're injecting themselves with other stuff when you can just get off of your fat ass and start moving.
Yep.
And eat less.
Yep. Exactly right. Okay, I'm going to share a really quick story before we have to go. I was not going to rat this place out. Maybe I won't say the name of the restaurant because they did handle it well once we had a terrible meal out the other night. But one of the things that was just the icing on the cake for us was we ordered green beans. And the green beans showed up to the table in a plastic bag. And I was like, oh my God, they heated this up in the plastic bag in the microwave. Well, what if you're a family that doesn't do that because you know that there's chemicals that leach and you don't know because they're doing it in the kitchen? Those are the types of things that people have to be so careful about that I hope that RFK goes after. Green beans in the plastic bag at a restaurant. Who would have thought?